Good morning and welcome to Unity of Salem. Glad to gather together this morning. I invite you to stand as you're able and join us in singing, I Open My Heart to Love. 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 I open my mind to peace. 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 I open my soul to joy. 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 I open my heart to love. 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 I open my heart. I open my heart to love. I open my heart. I open my heart to love. I open my heart. I open my heart to love. I open my heart. I open my heart to love. As Jan brings forward the Christ light, I invite you to join us in singing, Raising the Veil. I am raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising
Hello. My name is Linda, and I'm your platform assistant today. We welcome you to Unity of Salem today in the same warm and loving spirit with which Jesus greeted his friends. We greet you knowing that no one is here by accident or coincidence. We are each an essential part of the energy that is Unity of Salem. Right where you are along your life path, on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Patty, and it's my joy to welcome you here today with prayer. Shall we join together? Sweet Spirit, God is truly right here in our heart. We connect together right now beyond any sense of space, of time, of distance, and know that right here in this sanctuary, right here online, right where we are at, we are divinely connected, one in spirit. Grateful for this day, grateful for this connection, grateful for so much more. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Amen. We would like to welcome anyone who's joining us for the first time, and I can look around the sanctuary and see that that's not the case. But anyone joining us online, we're honored to have you here today. If you'd like information about Unity of Salem, you can find it on our website or give us a call at the office during the week. We would be honored to answer your questions. Have a fabulous day.
I have a few announcements to share with you. Would you be willing to serve as a greeter one Sunday a month? Please check in with Clay or Trish about joining the team. This is the final week to get your information in our new directory. If you'd like to be listed, please fill out the form in the Information Center. If you have questions about the directory, or maybe if you'd like some help with a new photo, Trish is the person to talk to. We have kicked off our back to school drive. The box is over near the main entrance. We are once again working with the Boys and Girls Club to provide supplies to students in Salem Kaiser. We'll be collecting items throughout the month of August. It's time to register for our online workshop Wednesday, August 24th, with Reverend John Paul Roach, the author of the book Reverend Patty has been using for this service. There is information in your bulletin or on our website. Interested in information about our community activities? You can sign up on our website or in the Information Center to receive our weekly email. Our prayer chaplain for today is Danita. She will be available for one-on-one prayer on our sun porch immediately following service today. And let's join together now and sing We Let It Be. we now join together in affirming the Unity of Salem mission statement. Unity of Salem nurtures spiritual growth in inclusive, loving community. And our vision statement, centered in spirit, we create a world of unlimited peace, love, and joy. And our core values, inclusiveness, spirit-led, compassion, love, joy, and integrity. And I now invite Clay over to share our reading for the day.
Thank you. Kiddoke. And here it is. The word for today is vision. And our affirmation is, I use my spiritual vision to direct my life. The future may be unknowable, but I am empowered and emboldened knowing I can help create it. I am blessed with the powerful awareness that my spiritual vision helps direct my way. As I open to the activity of God in me, I am able to discern clear guidance for my life's direction. My thoughts and words are affirmations for my vision of my life. The words I speak and the actions I take propel me towards the realization of my goals. I keep my mind open to all possibilities. Through my spiritual vision, I am able to glimpse a bigger picture, and I am entranced by the intricate details of my past. I trust that God within inspires me all along the way. And from Matthew 3:16, suddenly the heavens were opened to him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him.
As we're walking through our series, and today Reverend Patty's going to speak about Taoism, I didn't know any songs. I really didn't find any songs from the tradition of the path of Taoism, but it is has spoken to me and been a special part of my spiritual journey. So I wrote this song and reflecting some things that have been special to me and what I've learned through this path.
Drift on by, for I am content.
been happening all morning, but during that song, for some reason, my eyes started watering again. There's something about Taoism. It's, I was telling Ed before the service, it feels the most like unity to me of all of the traditions that we have been covering. And in fact, I just lost my train of thought. It just went down a track somewhere. It's okay, it will come back. Let's start with my notes, Patty. Stop and look at what you have to say. Well, because what I realized while you were singing, Angela, is it is about Taoism is when I was a child, I remember there was something that the nuns had that I wanted. There was a peace, a serenity. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that there was something, and Taoism seems to really encompass for me that we all have that we all have that, and truly are here to recognize it and walk it, to be the divine in expression. And we'll hear more about that here shortly. So we're coming to the close of our journey through this book, Unity and World Religions, written by Reverend Paul John Roach. And we've looked at commonalities between unity and Christianity, then Judaism, then Islam, then Hinduism, then Buddhism, and today Taoism. Keeping in mind that what we're looking for is the perennial philosophy. We're looking for that golden thread of truth that webs its way through all of the world religions. And being that unity defines itself based on what we affirm are 5 basic universal principles, 5 basic truths, we've been looking for those principles in these various religions and really looking at how we have so much in common. We tend to look at, what we don't have in common. But we have a lot in common, guys, with people from all walks of life. And I found that really interesting in that Taoism, it comes from ancient China. When you look at what's going on in China today and think about the roots of their teachings, because somewhere around the 6th century BCE in China, while all of these, what we have been talking about in Hinduism and Buddhism was happening there, Taoism was becoming a very entrained part of the culture in China. And maybe I should have started with Confucianism because some say it's older. It could be older. We're not exactly sure. It does appear to have come before Taoism, but not by much. However, Taoism seems to have had more of an influence. So I decided to go the same route that Paul John did, and that's to focus on that mainly today. So the central context of Taoism is actually the central context. I just said the central text in Taoism is a very short text called the Tao Te Ching. It has 81 chapters, which is 5,000 characters in the Chinese pictographs is what it's written in. It's not written in a language that's like communicated in the same fashion. The language itself, the pictographs, communicate symbology, communicate metaphysics, communicate a depth of understanding that Charles Fillmore eventually found in the Bible. But that's the essence of this writing. It's a storytelling, a way of communicating that is very different from our English language, that it's sometimes really hard for us to get. And if you're going to read the Tao, I would suggest reading various versions because of the fact that it's so hard to translate. Because you're translating it through a lens of what what those characters signify for you. And those 5,000 characters are each telling a story. So you could get a lot of different stories, which might be the reason it's the second most translated religious text that we have today, the Bible being the one that is the most translated. And like the Bible, the origins of the text have a mythical storytelling quality about them. It's attributed to Lao Tzu. Now, many of the origin stories differ about how he might have written it. One of them that I read the most was that he was a contemporary of Confucius, and that they participated in philosophical talks about their Dharma together. Another one, though, had them living 100 years apart from each other. So it's a mythological story. The name itself translated means old master. So it could be that it's a story, a conglomeration from the oral tradition. And in fact, Paul says it this way. Some legends say he was a court archivist or administrator. Supposedly, he had grown tired and dissatisfied with court life and decided to leave China altogether and spent his remaining days in the wilderness. Riding a white buffalo, he was crossing through the border gate when the guard recognized him and begged him to write down his wisdom before he departed. Lao Tzu begrudgingly agreed to do so, and after 3 days, he returned to the guard and handed over the text of the Tao Te Ching. Sounds kind of cool. Who we don't know. We really do not know exactly where it came from. Scholars seem to be in agreement that, like the Bible, it's a compilation of wisdom. It's a compilation of an oral tradition that was recorded. But no matter what its origins, every one of them attributes it to Lao Tzu, so to the old master. And so you will see him quoted a lot in the internet memes. That's quoting the Tao Te Ching will quote pictures of him, or have pictures of him, as he's been drawn, of course, throughout there's no real pictures of, obviously. There is another text, though, that goes along with Taoism that I had never heard about, and that's the Chuangzi, which is named after the person who's named Chuangzi. His name is the actual name of the text. And he wrote some 2 centuries after the Tao Te Ching was recorded. And so his text is also very central to the teachings of Taoism. So it'll come as no surprise to most of us that Tao literally means the way. It's shown up quite a few times in most all of the traditions. There has been something that is translated as the way, the path, in this case, the flow. And to me, that points directly towards a perennial philosophy. That points directly towards this idea of our 5th principle, that none of the rest of it matters unless we are walking the path, unless we are following the way, unless we are living in the flow. And, we'll get back to that because we should start with the first principle. And we really need to understand Unity's concept of God in order to see the similarities within Taoism, because there is no personal deity in Taoism. There is no God out there, though one might call the Tao the eternal. The Tao is that flow, that path. Or Paul says it this way. Paul Tillich's description of God as the ground of all being might be a good description of the Tao. Charles Fillmore's term, divine substance, used to describe the enormous power of God, could equally be applied to the Tao. It is the substance out of which everything arises, the underlying reality within and beyond all things. It is both immanent and transcendent. It is beyond all things, yet its power, which is called day, flows through all things. It is the source of that power. The Tao is also natural, effortless, uncontrived, spontaneous, and joyous. We can trust it. It is an undivided unity that is available to all. Sound familiar? Feel familiar? It's how I would want to describe God. It's the God of my being. Yes, quite frequently, I am reaching to a God out there, but do we really teach that is the truth in unity? No, we teach that there is an eternal divine nature, divine substance, divine wisdom, divine mind, and an energy that is eternal and ongoing. Seems to me that we have found that golden thread, that perennial philosophy, I almost said theology, that was cool, that we once again have the nature of God covered. We got it. We understand where that shows up in Taoism, that there is nowhere that God is not. And that seems to be very much in alignment with what we teach. Or for Paul, the Tao's intrinsic worth is that it is boundless and ineffable, meaning that it can never be pinned down, bought and sold, and yet it is also naturally present in every aspect of our lives. There's nowhere that God is not. I bet we all have a sense of the Tao. If you really think back to your life experience, you've had those moments where time seems eternal. I can think of so many of them. Coming home from Silent Unity one night, after praying with people for 8 hours, I just leaned on the back of the hood of my car and looked up because the sky was so filled with stars. I have no idea how long I physically was there. It seemed like an eternal moment. I could feel that oneness. I could feel that flow, being part of the experience. I've had it happen in groups of people doing the dances of universal peace, or a group of women on retreat, and we went to the Oregon coast, and we, very dark night in December, going through the woods to get to the coast, had one person with a flashlight in front, and we held on and followed each other. It was a trust thing. And we got to the beach and made a circle, and a shooting star went over. And for all of us, that was a moment that star, I'd swear, took an eternity to go across the sky. I'm sure it was seconds. But we were so in the moment, so in the experience, so in the Tao. Or one morning this week, sitting on my porch, actually it started when I was sitting in my bed and had the sliding glass door open, and a hummingbird was out there on my porch and let me walk outside and sit down and just sit there and be with this hummingbird. I have no idea how long I sat there, but it was a beautiful, magical experience. And those moments of peace seem to go on for eons. We're part of that eternal expression. And truly, they're just moments. But this comes from the Tao Te Ching, chapter 42. The Tao begot one. One begot two. Two begot three, and three begot the 10,000 things. The 10,000 things carry yin and embrace yang. They achieve harmony in combining these forces. If you ever wondered where the yin yang came from, it comes from Taoism. And it's our task in this world of apparent duality to see wholeness, to remember wholeness. Not to move towards something, not to say we're less than whole, but to remember that it's the essence of who we are. It's our true nature, and to live in peace and harmony. To remember we are expressions of the Tao, of the one source. Again, quoting Paul, like Maya or illusion in Hinduism, ignorance and suffering in Buddhism, sin and suffering in Judaism and Christianity, and a sense of separation in unity and New Thought, We have become ensnared in the pleasures and pains of the 10,000 things. The Tao Te Ching, like other spiritual texts, offers a way home. I love, home has been our theme here as we returned to the sanctuary through COVID, through lots of things, reimagining, remembering, reminding ourselves that this is our spiritual home. So we've all seen the yin and yang, where we have the yin is the passive, the female, the principle of earth, and the yang is the male, the principle of heaven. And yet there's part of each of them. There's light and the dark. There's dark and the light. And it's an ongoing, continuous cycle that comes together as that one circle representing wholeness. Or as one of my mentors, one of my teachers, Sharon Poindexter, taught, the yin-yang is the affirmation. I am the light and the dark. I am the dark and the light. And I am all of that and so much more. Because there is no separation. Only when we choose to see it does it exist. And that's when we lose sense of rightness. That's when we lose sense of harmony. That's when the universe does not feel like one with us. If we want to understand Taoism, we must truly believe that we are each one with the Tao. We must believe it. We must choose to live it. That we each have exactly what we need to remember our wholeness and live harmonious, fulfilling lives. And I'm not talking just each of us. We each on this planet, there is no being in existence that does not already have exactly what it needs. Which is not to say the world is broken when we look at it and see it as if it's something other than, because everything is as it should be. That's we get to be, and when we're in the flow, we're not wanting to change anything. Things will change because we're in the flow, but we are not judging it that it needs to be something different. Chapter 29. Do you want to improve the world? I don't think it can be done. The world is sacred. It can't be improved. If you tamper with it, you'll ruin it. If you treat it like an object, you'll lose it. The master sees things as they are without trying to control them. She lets them go their own way and resides at the center of the circle. Just gives me God bumps. It's so in alignment. It just makes my heart sing. So if we are experiencing suffering, it's because we created it by seeing the world as separate. Where does that come into alignment with? Our third principle, guys. Thoughts held in mind produce after our kind. It speaks directly to how our thoughts create our experience. And yet it's different. Because Taoism is not focused on creating a specific experience in our lives. It's not that active energy of affirmative prayer. It's an energy of, it's a passive energy of living, of being. It's an energy of embracing, an energy of compassion, of truly living the way. Chapter 16. Empty your mind of all thoughts. Let your heart be at peace. Watch the turmoil of beings, but contemplate their return. Each separate being in the universe returns to the common source. Returning to the source is serenity. Returning to the source is what we're looking for, what we're looking to experience. And that seemed to me to speak to our fourth principle. Not in prayer in the way that we teach prayer, not in meditation in the way that we teach meditation, but in life being a prayer, life being a meditation, that everything that we know is pointing the way, that everything we know is remembering this truth, remembering who we are and that we are living that. So it's combining our fourth and fifth principle, becoming one in Taoism. The intention is to live from that place of a felt connection, that place of a common union with all that is, which I would say living in common union with the divine, but they would not want, in my mind, to separate it. There's not a divine and a human. It is all that it is. To live in the flow, as described in chapter 9, fill your bowl to the brim and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife and it will blunt. Chase after money and security in your hearts will never unclench. Care about people's approval and you will be their prisoner. Do your work, then step back. The only path to serenity. I read that every day this week. That one has been huge for me. And before I'm going to go on, Ed, I'm going to invite you to come up. Ed came this morning and brought with him his copy of the Tao, and it's part of his life. I'll let him tell his story just a little bit because I want to go on and talk about Confucius. But Ed is going to read to us from the Tao.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I didn't know I was going to be up here when I came to church this morning. But I did bring my book because I like to start my every day in my practice with a reading that inspires me. And this year, I've been reading the 365 Tao meditations on the Tao. It's not the actual Tao Te Ching, but so I thought I'll read today's meditation. Every meditation starts with a word in English, and then it gives the Chinese character for that word, and then a little poetic reading, and then an explanation. So today is on repetition. My prayer beads are strung on my lifespan. I am not allowed to skip a single bead. Sometimes the bead is a seed, or a bone, or jade, or dry blood, or semen, or crystal, or rotted wood, or a sage's relic, or gold, or glass, or a prism, or iron, or clay, or an eye, or an egg, or dung, or a ball, or a stone, or a peach, or a bullet, or a bubble, or lead, or pure light. No matter what the next bead is, I must count it. Perform my daily austerities. Repeat, 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 until repetition becomes endurance. People seldom understand the power of repetition. What is repeated over and over again can become enduring. What is done in a moment is seldom lasting. If farmers do not tend to their fields every day, they cannot expect a harvest. The same is true of spiritual practice. It is not the grand declaration or the colorful initiation that means anything. It is the ongoing, daily living of a spiritual life that has meaning. Our progress may range from dull to spectacular, but we must accept both. Each and every day should be linked together, strung into a long line of prayer beads. In life, you don't know how many beads you've counted already, and you don't know how many are yet to come. All that matters is fingering the one that comes to you now and taking the spiritual significance of that moment to heart.
Thank you so much, Ed. Did you catch that moment? Yeah, we took it to heart. So I talked a little bit about Confucianism, and I want to just cover that slightly. It was founded about 2,500 years ago, also in China, by a Chinese sage whose name was Confucius. And I know I said earlier that 100 years separated him and Lao Tzu. That's not necessarily true. They pretty much grew up hand in hand, is what most of the traditions say. The main difference, and I know I'm not wanting to focus on difference, but this seemed really important for me to get, is where harmony resides within these two traditions. Paul describes it as Confucian teachings are aimed at developing a superior person and a well-ordered society, returning to an idealized age of nobility. So it's really more of an outward focus, and where Taoism is much more of an inner journey experience. Not that they don't cross over, and not that there isn't some spirituality, but just like Taoism, they don't focus on the divine a lot within Confucianism. That sounded like confusion, sorry. And Confucius worked with an ancient text. He wrote some works himself, but he really worked with the I Ching more than anything else. Very similar otherwise. And so I could go through the same talk and say some of the same things about that experience, but it was important to get that this would have been the religion of the nobility. Those who were wanting to get society formulated in a certain fashion. It really reminded me of the two schools of thought in Christianity. Just think about back to how surprising that was to us then, that there was a school of thought that the religion formed out of, and there was a school of thought that the spiritual practice formed out of. I saw a lot of that between the two of these. And then we can't forget Shintoism. As long as we're in this part of the world, now this is from Japan, and this is even earlier, it's around 1000 BCE. And the message of Shintoism is there is a spirit within everything. The trees, the chairs. There is a spirit within everything, and spirits as our ancestors are present with us. There's a lot in Shintoism that appeals to me on a level of everything is sacred now. Everything is sacred now. And given the size of Japan, it surprised me that there are 13 sects of Shintoism, and that over 100,000 Shinto shrines exist. Most of them still exist today. And now, while this is not a practice followed by most Japanese today, it has really informed their culture and left behind a connection of seeing the sacred in all things. It, to me, just truly embodied all 5 of the principles by acknowledging that sacred in all things and in all beings and all experiences. And that's an amazing place to end this journey. As next week we look into a few other traditions that I may not have mentioned, but really talk about the future of religion. And how do we go forward from here? How do we go forward in unity? How do we go forward in oneness? So I'll let you think about that question this week. As right now we move into a time of meditation. And like last week, I've borrowed a meditation from a Taoist website working predominantly with children, but it just seemed appropriate to me this morning. So if you haven't already, I invite you to close your eyes. to take a few deep breaths, to release the breath, and as you do, to relax. To allow the chair that you are sitting on to fully support you. Set your feet firmly upon the ground. And in this moment, surrender to the awareness of the flow of spirit moving through you right now. Breathe it in. Breathe it out. Feel your connection. Feel your feet connected to the earth. And now use the power of your imagination and imagine a smiling face in front of you. It could be your own face. It could be that of a loved one. And now draw the energy of that smile, the energy into your forehead. Just allow that smile, the light, to flow into your forehead. Let your forehead relax. Let your body receive. Let the joyous, warm essence from this smile begin to cascade through your entire body. Spiraling down, spreading throughout your being. It touches and comforts your internal organs. Take your time. Visualize each organ being soothed by this smiling, warm energy. And after you have spent time smiling into and comforting each of your internal organs, notice the sensations in your body. Perhaps you feel energized, content, warm. Continue visualizing the essence of that smile within your being. Once again, letting it flow through every organ, every tissue, every aspect of your being. Anchor it. This feeling of peace, of contentment. Place your hands over your heart. Take several deep breaths and simply relax. Release any visualizations, any thoughts, and be in the silence. And as we bring our attention, our awareness back to these surroundings, I invite you to focus this energy on the prayer box that is right here in front of the lectern. And in this moment, to speak out loud or in the silence of your heart the names of those who you would like to add to this prayer box. Seeing them surrounded by God's presence and love. We know that there is nowhere that God is not. And as we send this smile to To each of these individuals, we acknowledge their wholeness. We acknowledge their truth. And know that God is already at work, guiding their every thought, word, and action. And in this moment, there is more than enough to do God's work wherever it is needed on our planet. As we send this love forward. And we give thanks for answered prayer. And so it is. Amen. That smile's going to go with me all week. I love that. We now have a time in which we celebrate our abundance, our individual abundance, our collective abundance, as we support this community with our tithes and our gifts. As our ushers come forward, know that the ushers will, if you don't want to hold the bag, the ushers will hold the bag for you. We understand that we are all coming from different places with the energy that's happening in our world right now. So you don't have to touch the bag. The ushers will do that for you. But right now, let's hold in our hands these gifts. The gifts that come in not just here on Sunday, that come in through the donate button on our website, that come in through the mail. The gifts of service. For we know that Unity of Salem would not exist without each and every one of you. And we bless these gifts with our offertory blessing. Divine love, flowing in, through, and as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. Amen. We love that energy of a planetary celebration. As Alice brings these gifts forward and places them here on the altar, we truly know that it is a planetary celebration and that these gifts go forth with wisdom and joy to celebrate God, to be God in expression. We are honored to be the stewards, and we give thanks for answered prayer. Amen. The next couple of weeks, oh no, we have one more week of this series, don't we? I almost introduced you to what we would be doing for the 2 weeks after that. Just something for you to think about. I don't know if you've seen, and I apologize to Garth because I wasn't going to do this, but those of you online won't see this for a couple of weeks because I know he didn't get a shot of this. But Trish has created a poster with our mission, our vision, our core values, and our intentions. And in prepping for our time in September with Cindy Swall, we're going to spend a couple of weeks and go through some of these. But next week, let's finish this book. So if you haven't registered yet for the workshop with Paul John Roach, I highly recommend you do it soon. We only have a few registrations, and we really want to make sure that it is going to happen because it's going to be a fabulous evening. So let's stand now and sing God is My Source by Karen Drucker.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
And we now close this energy with our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And we are truly blessed when? Always. Namaste.